Good evening, y'all. I, I believe there, more probably than not, our power is greater than myself at work in the universe. And I'm working a program for drug addiction, pornography addiction, depression, and anxiety. And my name is Chase. Hey. I was born and raised here in South Florida on September 11th, 1995, to loving parents. My youth was filled with support and encouragement from my parents, who always provided the knowledge and opportunities for success. My mother made sure my sister and I went to church regularly growing up. For years, I was dragged along until I got more involved around my middle and high school years, even helping out with Kids of Hope for a time, albeit reluctantly. There was even a time where I felt I knew God, and I would actually volunteer to help run the production for Sunday services. But my childhood was also filled with disobedience, poor decisions, and anxiety. Growing up, I would often get in trouble at school and home. At school, I would generally try to be the center of attention by being a class clown or breaking rules. I had earned quite a few referrals by the time I was entering high school. Around this time, my anxiety began to take form and started to play a more significant role in my decisions. I decided to ditch all my friends I had made until this point and began to try to fit into a crowd I was not a part of. Most of my freshman year went well enough, or so I thought. At the time, I was making new friends, and I had my first girlfriend. This was the last time I would have a normal life for quite some time. During my sophomore year, my parents had filed for divorce, and my girlfriend had cheated on me. This was around this time my suicidal ideations had started to take hold of me. My self-worth was non-existent, and I felt I had no control over how my life was going. The following year, I had tried marijuana for the first time. I managed to narrowly graduate high school after a senior year that involved getting high every day before and after school. Within the first few years after high school, I had tried cocaine, LSD, mushrooms, and ecstasy, which at times was certainly meth. At first, it was only at music festivals, but not long after, it was any weekend I could get some. Over the next several years, I continued to abuse these substances heavily, often switching between them as the negative side effects became more noticeable. During these years, my relationships were few and far between, and the ones I maintained were surface level at best. I was constantly masking my reality, attempting to appear normal while being anything but. My relationship with my parents was distant, and I had no thoughts for God at all. I would often mock others for their religious beliefs, focusing on the brokenness of the world every chance I had. I had lost all connections I had once felt with a higher power. The only positive that came from these years was that I so rarely left the house, I was able to save enough money to make a down payment on a place all for myself, and the timing of the purchase had worked out perfectly. In June of 2022, I had bought my own home, and at last, I could do whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted. Not that I wasn't already doing this already, but more so now. This also meant that there would be no one around to tell me to clean up after myself, which would ultimately become the reason I made it to recovery. I often left trash lying around, as I was either too high or lazy to clean it up. I would let massive amounts of waste pile up before going on a several-hour cleaning spree to get things back in control. This cycle of build-up and cleaning would become a normal way of life for me. I had little care for how I lived, as my suicidal thoughts were now a plan for how I would one day die. I was certain this was how it would go down. This way of thinking kept me from having any real plans or caring about my well-being, as in my mind, nothing really mattered anyway. By the time COVID hit, I was in full form, smoking and drinking every day while I played video games, often for 4 to 6 hours each weekday, with weekends seeing upwards of 8 to 12 hours per day. After a few years of doing the same thing every day, I got to a point where I no longer had the cleaning spree. Thus, the trash built up to be completely overwhelming. An entire year of built up trash, I found myself in a situation where I felt I may have actually need to take my own life or risk being exposed. This unexpected event made a one-day thought all too real, and I had set a date I intended to go through with it. The day had come, and I had made all the preparations, but was lacking the conviction needed to make it happen. I had kept telling myself that I would go to hell if I went through with it. Now, this was a lie that I had convinced myself to be true. There is no evidence in the Bible to support this, nor was I taught this in any church. After the failed attempt, I had found myself in a hospital. I began to question what had really stopped me, and I've been struggling to answer this question since that day. After several days in the hospital, I was transferred to a treatment facility to work on my mental health and later addiction. My time there was incredible. I learned to focus on what I could control, focus on how I viewed the world, and was able to build a solid foundation for self-care. With these tools and several others, I I'm now equipped to understand and process my emotions as they arise. I'm also aware of the triggers and tendencies that led to how I was and can align my actions in a way that keep me out of situations that may cause me to fall back into my old life. Prior to recovery, I would only focus on the negative of the world around me, from the news to how awful traffic is, letting everything affect my mental well-being. I would often tell myself how everything sucks and would constantly blame others for the world's shortcomings, letting these thoughts control my life and action, making no effort at all to improve myself or what I could control. With the tools from recovery, I am now able to focus only on what I can control and not let the world and all its issues stop me from achieving my life goals. I'm able to reframe my thoughts to lessen their power over my life, and I get to experience life and all the wonders around me daily. Since treatment, I've prioritized self-care, started working towards lifelong goals, as well as gotten involved with the church again. I now regularly attend church on Sundays and CR on Mondays, as well as volunteer to help with the production here at CR. I'm also a part of a step study group, which helps me better understand the program or how the program should be lived. The men in the group offer a variety of experiences and knowledge to help for how to apply the steps in everyday life. I learned something about myself and the program each meeting. I've been working on accepting step 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. I don't fully understand God, and I'm beginning to experience the consequences of working the program my way instead of God's way. I understand there are likely forces greater than myself at play in the universe. However, I am still navigating turning my will over to said forces. The proof from the others says I will have to if I want to recover, but I must try for myself and experience that I really can't do it with my will before I fully commit. I finally got a sponsor after several months of people telling me I needed one. I'm still not convinced that I need one, but everyone I've met in recovery says I need one, and I believe they can't all be wrong. I come back each week to continue my journey and to strengthen the relationships I've been building here. I look forward to hearing from those who have more time in recovery than I do and sharing with those who have less time than I do. I must thank my mother for all the love and support she has shown me my entire life, especially this past year. She has been there every step away of my recovery journey, and she regularly attends CR to support me and others in their recovery. She's an incredible person, and I deeply admire her. Thank you, Mom. I love you. To the newcomer, they can't all be wrong when they say these steps are the way to recovery. The proof is in the story in these rooms. The answers are here, or the answers you're seeking are here, but you have to be willing to ask the questions. Thank you for letting me share.